Okay, we're good to go. Let me share my screen here. Can you guys see it?
Yes, we can.
All right, perfect. All right, so welcome to the Falcon Sprint 3 review. It was a 2-week sprint. As usual, we accepted the level of stories, and then we've added to it throughout. But I think this time it's okay because our work emerged as a result of the ONS conference coming up. So our percentage, complete percentage, dropped, to mid-30s. So I think it's largely due to the fact that the ONS created unexpected work. So just in recap, that's where we are with respect to sprint velocity, and the sprint burnout was pretty much a flat thing with just a few bumps and a slight decline at the end. So regarding the individual areas, David said he couldn't be here, so I'm just going to provide the update on his behalf. Regarding the community, there was a first community steering team meeting held yesterday, and the next one will be scheduled on March 10. The idea is to hold them every 2 weeks for now, and their purpose is to get involvement from community and figure out how to organize the community and how to get some additional involvement and progress for ONOS. Also, the bug bounty pilot has been launched. Now, the idea here is to solicit the community to help us address some of the more insidious or harder to find bugs, and this is kind of like a most wanted program, and it's going to have prizes associated with it. And for more information, you can look at the bounty onosproject.org link. Also, we welcome Satish as a new module owner. He's right now going to be helping us review the various protocols, but I expect that he'll be able to start also be responsible for additional areas of code. So thanks a lot for your help, Satish. And also, David is planning ONOS Ambassadors pilot program where we can get involvement from some European and Korean communities, as well as, basically worldwide communities to help promote ONOS and help us run education programs and things like that. Okay, if there's no questions on here, we can move on to the platform. Does somebody on Menlo Park want to give an update on this?
Yeah, so just a couple more. So emerge the basic fix for allowing for getting rid of the upstart dependency, and still waiting a couple merges on cleanup of that. And I don't know about the other one.
Oh yeah, the other one is one of individual external contributors added monitor shared timer and shared executors to be able to help us identify if there are some lagging processing, to be able to help us identify who's consuming what resources. All right, on the core side, we've introduced a new region subsystem, and it's basically a mechanism to help us, help a user control mastership affinities in a geographically distributed cluster to better correspond to the geographical regions. And it's also a basis for some of the upcoming topology view enhancements that we are planning for GoldenEye release. And Madan, I'm going to let you do the rest.
Yeah. So the development work for dynamic clustering feature is mostly complete, and right now, we are doing a bunch of testing and fixing issues as they are discovered. And another thing that we did is basically upstream all the improvements and fixes we made to the copycat project. So starting with this release, we will actually be using the official version and not our own fork. So it helps us, it helps the project, so it's an overall good thing. A change that we made, again, this is part of the dynamic clustering work, is there is some cleanup that we did for how we manage the various storage partitions. Till now, we had the concept of a P0 partition, which essentially is a raft cluster that is made up of all the nodes in the cluster. The problem we are seeing is that as we increase the cluster size, this becomes a bottleneck due to the sheer number of nodes that are part of this partition. So starting with Falcon, we will be dropping the P0 partition, and all the data structures that we create will be created in the partition setup. So from a user perspective, this should not change anything. I mean, the APIs and everything remain the same. This is like a implementation detail that we changed just so that we have better scalability. Another thing that I added recently was, as I was testing this, I found the need for a simple standalone application that will help me, quickly do some stress testing on the distributed consensus part. So I put together a simple test application that will, let me do stress testing at a configurable rate to see, how far we can take the distributed subsystem. Finally, I spent some time helping QA unblock their daily performance. I'm sure Subin will have more about that. So that's all I have on the core side.
Great, thanks, Madam. And I think it's a great thing with the copycat that basically we're now using the official version. That's great.
Yep.
All right, on a southbound, presume this would be Andrea and Carmela.
Yeah, with regarding NetConf, just a couple of bug fixes that me and Andreas from Giant did together, and there is in Erit right now waiting for merging the first unit test class for the NetConf southbound protocol that me and Tanuj from Happiest Minds did together last month.
Yes, and for recon service before, we now have a first implementation of the BMV2 drivers. Specifically, ONOS is not capable of talking with BMV2 devices using a Thrift client. I implemented both the flow root programmable and port discovery behaviors. This is a very basic implementation, as there's no mapping between the before program and the well-known other fields. So everything is treated as an extension. And the interesting thing is that the first issues about the ONOS extensibility features are starting to come out. And specifically, I created a Jira story regarding the fact, regarding like some issues about the extension criterion type and extension treatment type that we'll probably address in the next sprint.
Sounds good.
What is BM?
BMV2 is we can call it like the soft switch. Is a P4 soft switch. Basically.
Yeah.
Is there BMV1?
Yeah.
BM is some sort of behavioral
model. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the P4 soft switch.
Yeah.
And yeah, it does P4, and you can talk to it with Thrift.
Yeah.
Well, there are also some bug fixes by Charles. And if Charles, if you're there, you must speak to that.
It's just a small fix that host location provider accidentally removed the host in the host store that injected by other providers. So right now, before removing the host location provider, we should check if the provider ID equals to itself. That's it.
Great. Awesome. Thank you. So on the northbound side, there's two things. First of all, we started to refactor the intent subsystem to support flow objectives. Now, this is still work in progress, but we do expect to complete it next week to help us release with the initial variant of this for Falcon. The idea here is that the host-to-host, point-to-point, and multi-point to single-point intents will now emit flow objective intents. And actually, with Falcon, we will ship both the old flow rule-based compilers as well as the flow objective-based compilers. So this will give a choice to deployment whether they want to use the old one or the new one, with just a minor code modification, basically. So that's regarding that. And if he's there.
I can speak to that actually. I don't think show is. So there were a few bug fixes that were made in the resource subsystem. So we discovered that there were a lot of errors that were being observed in the logs, and these were due to concurrent, like different nodes in the cluster trying to update the store concurrently during registration. So there was a fix that was put in to only have the master do the registration when a port or a switch is discovered. And also in multiple places we were making redundant accesses to the distributed data structures, and that was causing some slowdown. So show work to optimize some of that access pattern.
Great. Was some of this behind the intent throughput?
Yes. Yes. So there was. So what was happening is that whenever we withdraw an intent, we check to see if there are any resources associated or allocated for that intent, and we were trying to basically, the number of accesses to the resource store increased significantly.
I see.
So that was causing a slowdown in the intent perf test. So another change that show made was to make that deallocation configurable so that we can disable that in the intent perf test.
I see.
So that at least make sure what we are testing right now is consistent with what we have been testing till now.
Okay.
But the deallocation mechanism will be changed in the future to make sure that's also taken into account in the test of this.
So yes, I think we definitely want a test which also measures accesses to the flow to the resource store, but not as part of the test that you guys have been running so far. So there will be two tests, one that doesn't measure the resource store access and one that does.
But I guess I'm trying to say is that the deallocation is part of the performance that people want to know the system behavior.
Yeah, for sure. But I think right now, so that we could measure apples and apples.
Right, that's what we're running today.
Yeah.
Right, with the change of
so we don't have a baseline number there yet. So let's. Like the low number that we have for the current test is misleading because what we are measuring has changed.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Great. Thank you. Simon, you want to take this one?
Yeah. So for this sprint, a couple of things completed. One was the introduction to the web UI. It's now published on YouTube, and a link is included here in the slide. And then some of the other work that I was doing was making some enhancements to the topology view to help support ONS demo use cases, specifically adding a Bay Area map, adding functionality to be able to scale and tint maps to give it a bit more pizzazz, and also providing new glyphs for specific device types. We're also working on a device driver matrix view that shows the device drivers versus the behaviors they implement. This is still work in progress. I didn't get to finish it this sprint, but it will be finished before the ONS. And then also I'm preparing slides for my tutorial that I'm presenting there too. That's it.
Great. Thank you. On the QA side, Subin or John?
Yeah. So most of the work this sprint was towards the ONOS demo, and so we're taking on the ONOS kiosk demo, and then the QA team also has a talk and a S3 booth that we're preparing for, and then there are some enhancements that we had, so still debugging some of the show failures. I think we've narrowed it down to 2 different bugs. One's an ONOS bug, and then one we're still investigating where when we switch topologies, sometimes for the first loop of the test, there's failures there. And then so we have a new netconf suite that's almost done, probably either today or early next week will be in production. There's a network config test that kind of got put on hold, and then the host discovery performance test is close to being done. Just a few cleanup and documentation issues, and then so we'll probably have that in production next week. And then we're working on a new Cho redesign, so it's easier to inject events and correlate failures. So if you go to the next slide, there's some bugs. So 22 were open, 3 were resolved, and that leaves us with a total of 108 bugs for the project. Here are some blocker bugs. I want to highlight the second to the last one was one that was filed by a community member. And then the last bullet point, those are some of the intent-related bugs that we need to re-verify with some of the changes that went in the last day or so.
Okay, thank you. I guess that shows a pretty big deficit right now in terms of what was open versus what was resolved. But I guess that will be the subject of the following week's sprint, starts pushing some of these.
And Thomas, there's maybe one of the concerns about the last one that we're seeing a lot of, when we install intent, a lot of flows are in the pending at state. I don't know if the flow objective things are in the master now, or just
no.
No.
No. Well, so I guess a portion of it is, but so there, yeah, none of the flow objective stuff is in there, but there was some work done that was on the intent subsystem, so perhaps that introduced some regressions. We'll have to take a look at that.
But we want to validate that after the flow objective is in place.
Yeah.
Behaviors.
Exactly. Okay, thank you. All right, Luca?
Yeah, so I moved the VPLS up to master. I'm doing a couple of modifications before being able to install it on AmLight. It's a work in progress. Then hopefully should be completed in the next sprint. We created a link from between AmLight in Miami and KREONET in Korea. We came up with a GUI to show in real time the traffic between all the countries involved in the deployment on the map. That will be used for the demo at the ONS for sure. The article of IEEE for Jant has been finalized and submitted for Communication Magazine. Infrastructure. We have again a console, all the console cables we need, and the console server. So if something goes wrong, we can access to all the devices easily. We are monitoring now correctly the bandwidth of our router, and we discovered some issues. And so we requested basically to the provider to get more IPs and to get more bandwidth. We did all the updates for the DB instance we have on EC2 that were mandatory. And it's not here, but we increase also, oh no, it's here, sorry. We increased the CPU and the disk for Jenkins that hopefully should help during the builds.
Do we see that increased Jenkins is necessary? Then we need to think about making that a reserve because that's very expensive.
I would wait for Brian for sure. There's still something in software that can be done before we can give a final answer to this.
Yeah, so we might be able to, yeah, so let's have a discussion about this offline. First of all, Gold and I will have some of the build will be reworked from Maven, ported from Maven to Buck, and that should save us a number of cycles. Also, in the meantime, because of reduced throughput of check-ins at the end of the release, we might be able to lower it again. Because we're no longer, at least we have not been seeing the deep build queues. Now, of course, that could be also because we've put a more powerful machine on it. So it's we need to find a sweet spot. I understand that this is expensive, but for right now, I think it's well worth our time. long run, though, the idea is to be able to get away with a smaller machine and be more efficient. Okay, IP optical and eCord. Mark?
Yeah, so we spend a lot of time doing the hardware testbed integration, fixing a major outstanding bug or incompatibility. With the Momentum Flow Rule Provider, we finally have all the tools to drive the transport side of things. There's been a lot of progress on the API side for MEF services, exposing that upwards and tying it into our logic, which is in part composed of the carrier Ethernet app, which also has seen a lot of progress. And then aside from that, there's the general ONS stuff that's going on. That's it.
Great, thank you. Oops.
Can we refresh?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. So we finished the subscribers total and the topology inside the service provider portal, and we built the eSound testing environment in the AmCloud infrastructure. The BBU is integrated into the infrastructure, but for dynamically bring up one BBU, we still need some effort and improvement, because the RRU in the left side is legacy hardware, not VM. The virtualized and the disaggregated the P gateway testing is finished. And during this week's integration test, we meet some issue with the MME and SKTV servers. They use some specific hardware physical port. So we redesigned our solution, and right now we have a new solution for the end-to-end integration testing. The last one is for the video servers. We installed, and the delay we insert some delay, and it looks good. The effect looks good, when smooth, when not smooth. Yeah, that's all for AmCloud for this week. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Ping Ping. On the REST and CLI, there were just few huge enhancements made to accompany the region additions, as well as some of the missing commands for group management and metrics list management. So I think that's just decorative stuff. ONOS framework. Excuse me, one moment.
Gotta get Timmy out of the well.
Okay.
Okay. The ONOS framework for OpenNFV is ready to go to with the release B, OpenNFV Release B. This new release is about to announce next week. In this new release, we include many OpenStack features for the interface feature. This will include the work we did previously, like the ML2, the module 02 driver, and also the Neutron to ONOS API, and also include the module OSV VPN and service. We also spend some time on the installer, OpenStack installer. Now we support 4 OpenStack installer, Canvas, the field. Canvas and the field will go with Release B. The later 2 Apex and Joy will go with later Release B. Okay.
So is everything approved now for OPNFV?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Basically, we finished this.
That's
Maybe
great.
we can improve later sometime.
Yeah.
But for the major work is done.
Nice. Yeah, that's a big accomplishment.
Okay.
What are those installers?
Huh? The installer is
I've never heard of those.
the installer is for the OpenStack project. Just you run the installer and then they automatically set up the environment like this. So there are multiple installers in OpenStack with many time something.
All right. Thanks, Santa. Who wants to take this one?
Yeah, for OpenStack support, Neutron RC features were added mostly about the external connectivity. So now VM can access the external network with a dedicated public IP for the VM called floating IP or shared gateway IP address with peanuts, and also ICMP handler was added for peanut case. And we also added and finished Neutron security group feature. And there was some refactorings that previous OpenStack switching and stack routing applications now a sub-module of OpenStack network application. And we also separated the OpenStack REST interface as an independent application. That's it.
Thank you.
R3 feature based on VPN.
Okay. Hong Tao, do you want to also give an update on Yang stuff, or?
Yeah, this YANGUOJAVA we have started the YANGUOJAVA Translator. Currently we finished some of the stuff for the YANG Translator. Currently we support the YANG constructor, three kind of constructor, module, submodule, and the list. And we will continue on this project.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything on the OSPF side? Nope.
This I think our developer doesn't sync up with this slide, so maybe we can skip it.
Okay. All right, and the same thing for BGP flow spec. I know that there's been work going on there for sure, but I think they haven't gotten the message to update it, so that's fine. Okay, on the miscellaneous front, just to give everybody an update where we are. Originally, the RC was planned for today, but we postponed it till Monday. I'm sorry, till Monday next week, and to give QA something to run with. And then what we will be doing next week will be essentially sort of it'll be a sprint which we will track on Jira, but we will have no planning session for it. The goal of that sprint will be to address defects, to button up the various work around intent and flow objectives, and also to continue our preparations for ONS. And the goal there is to be able to generate RC2 on either Thursday or Friday. Okay? So if there's no questions on this, we can probably move over to demos, and this time we're going to have just a couple of canned demos. Simon, I'll let you talk to those screens.
Yeah, so this screen is just the Bay Area view with tinting. There's not much to say, really. Similar for here, we're showing the UK, and we're also showing both light and dark themes. And the next one is just a brief in-work screenshot of the driver matrix.
All right. That was quick. And I think with that, we're at the end of our sprint review. So I think if you wouldn't mind, please close any update any Jira stories. I will in about 15 minutes or so. I would like to close the sprint and open a new one so that people can start planning their work for next week. All right, and with that, you guys have a nice weekend, and I'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Thomas.
Bye-bye.